Every story begins somewhere, long before the world knows your name, long before the lights turn on. For Özge Yağız, that beginning was quiet. Born on April 10, 1997, in Istanbul, she grew up surrounded by warmth, love, and discipline. Her eyes carried a spark of curiosity, a deep love for expression. As a child, Ozge would stand in front of the mirror, mimicking emotions she saw in films, dreaming of the day when her own face might one day appear on a screen. She wasn't born into fame, she built it with every audition, every rejection, and every victory. After studying at Baskent University in Ankara, she pursued acting with heart and honesty. When she first appeared on screen in Adini Sen Koy, no one knew that this young girl, quiet yet powerful, would soon become one of Turkey's most loved faces. And then, destiny introduced her to the man who would change her life forever, Gokberk Demirci. Gokberk's story was different, yet somehow parallel. Born on October 20, 1989, in Izmit, Turkey, he grew up with values of strength and patience. Acting wasn't his first dream, but it became his greatest one. He trained at the craft acting workshop, where he learned not just how to act, but how to feel. Every gesture, every glance, every silence carried depth. Before Yamin, he had small roles, but his heart was bigger than his opportunities. He knew that patience would one day open doors. And it did. When the casting directors of Yemin were searching for leads who could portray purity, strength, and sincerity, fate chose them. Özge Yağız Reyhan, Gokberk Demirci is Amir. Neither of them knew that this role would define not only their careers, but their hearts. On set, something magical began. Their chemistry was not built from acting, it was born from truth. Between takes, they shared jokes, helped each other rehearse, supported each other through long days. The crew noticed. Their connection was effortless, genuine, and unspoken. Viewers across the world felt it too. Fans began to believe that what they saw on screen was more than fiction. Yemin became a global sensation, not just for its story, but for the love that bloomed quietly behind the camera. Slowly, Ozge and Gokberk's friendship deepened. She admired his calm strength, a man who spoke little but felt deeply. He saw in her not just beauty, but honesty, a rare sincerity that glowed through her eyes. Two souls, drawn together by art, began writing a real-life script, one that no writer could ever imagine. Fame brought attention, interviews, and lights, but behind all of it was something pure. They protected their love, kept it simple, away from drama. For them, love was not a show. It was home. Yet, as fame grew, so did the weight of the spotlight. But for now, in those early years, their love felt infinite. Ozge once said in an interview, "Love should feel like peace, not noise." And in Gokberk, she had found that peace. Every great love story begins quietly, not with fireworks, but with a glance that lasts a little too long, a smile that lingers, a silence that feels like home. On the set of Yamin, something invisible started to bloom. Amidst long shooting days, lines to memorize, and endless retakes, Ozge and Gokberk found comfort in each other's company. When the cameras stopped rolling, they would stay behind, rehearsing scenes, sharing stories, talking about life. Their connection was natural, unforced, like two melodies finding harmony. To the outside world, it was just acting. But to those who looked closer, their eyes told a different story. Slowly, the line between Reyhan and Amir began to blur. The tenderness they showed on-screen reflected the affection they felt off-screen. Their love was growing, real, delicate, and sincere. Fans across Turkey and around the world noticed it too. They created fan pages, edited videos, wrote poems about Ozberk, the couple who seemed destined not only on screen but in life. As the show's popularity grew, so did their bond. Ozge admired Gokberk's patience. He was quiet, grounded, and deeply respectful. Gokberk, on the other hand, was drawn to Ozge's pure heart and infectious laughter. Together, they balanced each other perfectly. She brought light, he brought calm. In a world full of noise, their love was built on peace. They began appearing together in interviews, shy smiles, gentle words, but eyes full of meaning. The Turkish media called them the most loved couple on television. And perhaps, they were right. But beyond the fame, what made their love special was how normal it was. They would cook together, take quiet walks, and support each other through career struggles. They built their love not on luxury, but on loyalty. When Yamin became one of the most watched dramas internationally, reaching countries like Pakistan, India, and across the Middle East, Ozge and Gokberk's names became symbols of Turkish romance. Fans didn't just love the series, they love the idea of them. And eventually, what began as whispers became truth. Özge Yağız and Gökberk Demirci were officially together. They didn't make grand announcements or dramatic gestures. Their love was quiet, respectful, and private. But for those who believed in love stories, this was real-life proof that destiny could exist. In interviews, when asked about each other, they would smile softly, saying just enough to make hearts melt. Ozge once said, "He is my calm, my balance, my mirror." Gokberk replied once, "She makes me better without even trying." Together, they embodied everything fans dreamed of, two stars, grounded in love, unbothered by fame. But as their fame rose, so did the pressures. Schedules became tighter, expectations grew heavier, the world began to watch not just their work, but their every move. Still, for a time, they managed to hold on, shining together, side by side, as Turkey's most beautiful real-life couple. Love, however, is not always about how brightly it burns, sometimes, it's about how long it can endure the storm. Greater than love, no matter how deep, is never safe from life's storms. For Ozge and Gokberk, fame was a blessing and a burden. The world that once admired their chemistry now watched every move, every silence, every gesture, turning whispers into headlines. As Yamin continued, schedules became endless. Long shooting hours stole their quiet moments. Fame demanded their time, and the distance between them began to grow, not in miles, but in heartbeats. Ozge was rising fast. Her charm, grace, and talent opened new doors. Offers from different producers poured in. She wanted to grow, to explore new roles, to prove she was more than just Reyhan. Gokberk supported her, always with pride in his eyes. Yet, deep inside, he feared what every lover fears, that success might change the rhythm of their hearts. Then came the decision that shook their fans. Ozge left Yemin. The character of Reyhan ended, but so did the chapter that had bound them so closely. Away from set, they tried to keep their connection alive. Late-night calls, short visits, stolen weekends, two people trying to hold the thread of love together while the world kept pulling it apart. Rumors began to swirl. The media speculated, fans questioned. Every Instagram post, every silence became a clue. But they said nothing, protecting their love with dignity. Still, time has a way of testing even the strongest hearts. By 2022, quiet words became public truth. The couple had separated. There was no scandal, no anger, no harsh words, only sadness and respect. They parted not as enemies, but as two souls who had loved deeply and learned deeply. Ozge, in an interview, simply said, "Sometimes, love doesn't end. It just changes its form." Gokberk, ever the man of few words, posted a single photo, his eyes heavy with emotion, and wrote, "Thank you for everything." Fans around the world were heartbroken. Ozberk was not just a couple, they were a symbol of true, quiet love in a loud world. But behind the heartbreak was something purer, admiration. Because even in their separation, they showed grace. No one blamed, no one mocked. They honored what they once had. And maybe, that's what real love is, not possession, but gratitude. They went their separate ways professionally. Ozge starred in new projects like Sol Yanım, Baba, and Safir, proving her range and depth. Gokberk continued his journey, showing strength and loyalty to his craft. Yet, whenever their names appeared in the same sentence, hearts still fluttered. Fans refused to stop believing. Some loves, after all, are not meant to end, only to rest, waiting for another chapter. Maybe in another time, another place, they would find each other again, not as Reyhan and Amir, not as Ozge and Gokberk the stars, but as two hearts who once recognized home in each other's silence. And perhaps that is what makes their story unforgettable.